What is up, guys? It is me, Lavish, and we are back with another episode of Are They Still Good? In the last episode, we started off all the events with the Bubble Bowl event, checking out all the 8 units from that event. And in this video, we have another 8-unit event. The next one in line, the Dunces and Dragons event. This event released back in May of 2025 and came with 8 new units, including the first ever event secret to release within SpongeBob Tower Defense. So I'm super excited to go back and look at all these units because this was an event I actually did play. So I do have, as you can see, like for some of the first units we're going to take a look at, I do have some levels on them and such. So it won't be completely fair, but for the most part, we'll get a good idea on how good these units are. And we're going to look at a very special version of the secret in a little bit. I will show you him after I show you these 4 units. But before we begin, I want to remind you guys, if you enjoy this series, to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you haven't checked out the first episode, please do, so you can go in order. Without further ado, I'm going to hop into an endless match with the event rare, the 2 event epics, and 1 of the event legendaries, show you those off, and then we'll move on to the next batch of units. So let's go. Alrighty, guys, as you can see, I have the units set up the same way as we did last time in the test. I do want to say for this first test, the ones that are going to be a bit skewed is definitely going to be the Squidly and the Princess Pearl, since they are different levels and the Squidly is shiny than these 2, but I still feel like they'll get a good idea. And this is one of the few events I grinded out, and this is the units I have. So I figured I'll just show them off, because why not? Why not? Show off the old event units and stuff. But first off, we should start off with the shiny level 70 Squidly with secret formula. So he is doing on base 5,488 damage every 0.5 seconds with 34.4 range as a line. He is already a pretty solid starter, although he was pretty outclassed by Bandgeek Squidward, since line is not the best damage type in the game. Like, honestly, it's probably one of the worst damage types in the game, maybe even the worst. So already he wasn't in the good spot because of that, but he's doing really solid damage for a rare unit. And the max out one goes up to 9,000 every 0.4 seconds with 42.4 range, which honestly for a rare unit isn't too bad at all. I mean, in the future series, we'll see how much that goes up by, because there will be more rares that we take a look at. But honestly, he's looking pretty solid, like not bad at all. I don't know if he's really better than Bandgeek Squidward that we looked at the last episode, but he's still pretty good. Now, Planktonomore is up next. He is also a line unit is he actually doing less damage than Squidly? Yeah, but Squidly has more levels than him. So he's doing 4,686 damage every 0.5 seconds with 37.8 range. I've used this unit before in the takedown event, if you guys remember that. He was actually pretty good in that event. I wouldn't say he was like busted, but like he was pretty helpful as like a nice little starter, and I think it's a similar story here. Now, the max out goes up to 8,034 every 0.4 seconds with 46.8 range, but that's level 50, so like Squidly is basically just doing more damage because he's more levels than shiny. But like, I'm sure if we got Planktonomore, he would to a higher level, he would be doing more than him. I'm not sure though. I'd have to take a look at the stats in the lobby to really get a good idea. So I'll get back to you guys on that one once I'm back in the lobby. Alright, next up we got Princess Pearl though. So this one's level 80, and her range is actually pretty nuts. Like, wow, look at that range. So she's doing 6,445 damage as Splash, which is honestly pretty solid. This is level 80 with 3 stars on her. She has a 0.6 SBA with 56.7 range. And her max out goes up to 10,000 every 0.5 second with 70.2 range. And she costs 700. For 700, that's actually a pretty solid starter. I wouldn't say she's beating out like Granny and Mama Bass, but it's still pretty solid damage. Like nothing amazing, but like nothing too bad either. So overall, I like, just from like the endless test and such, she seems solid. Not amazing though. Now we got Sir Patrick over here doing level 50 with secret formula, doing 7,000 damage every 0.5 seconds with 63 range. So is he better than the level? Yeah, he is. He is better than the level 80 Pearl. I sure hope so. He's a higher rarity. But yeah, no, that's actually some pretty solid damage, and especially for Splash, not bad at all. For a Splash Legendary, it's not bad. And that goes all the way up to 12,295 every 0.4 seconds with 78 range when he's maxed out. Honestly, he's not bad. I wouldn't say he's like amazing. There's a lot of better legendaries like Muscle Bob and stuff, but like for a legendary, that's actually some pretty solid damage. Not bad at all. Like this first batch of units is like, for their respective rarities, is not bad. But of course we got another batch of 4 we gotta take a look at. So let's go ahead and move on to the next batch of units. Alrighty guys, as you can see, I have the next batch units ready to go, and oh my god, those are attack stats that have hit much. Wow. So the disparities we have in this test is we got a Wumbo Sir SpongeBob. I actually pulled that during the event, so you know, I figured I'd use him, and he's really big. Like, look at how tall that man is. It's actually really cool. We also got the shiny Wumbo King Crabs. So yeah, that's going to be a bit different than our Dark Knights, which are just completely regular. And of course, the main star of today's video is the shiny Wumbo 5-star level 100 Sea Bear Secret Formula Dungeon Master. Yeah, this with Power Patty. This Dungeon Master is completely maxed out. So you guys are looking at a max potential Dungeon Master. The rest of these units, I'm not going to bother to get maxed out, but I feel like the Dungeon Master just really is really cool to show maxed out. So let's go ahead and start off looking at these stats. Starting off with the Dark Knight, she is a line legendary with Secret Formula at level 50, doing 4,524 damage every 0.3 seconds with 69.3 range. Honestly, like back in the Takeover event, this was another unit you would use, and she was doing some really solid damage, especially for a legendary. Like, man, she feels better than some legendaries that I would be using in Rogue and stuff like that. So she's actually really solid for a rarity. Now, of course, her max out stats are like, it goes up to 7,752 damage every 0.3 seconds with 85.8 range, which honestly is solid. It's not bad at all. It's nothing amazing, I'd say. Like, I definitely would say like Muscle Bob and some of the more recent legendaries are better, but she's still doing really solid damage, and she attacks really fast. Like, her animation time is super fast. And speaking of a fast animation time, looking at the Sir SpongeBob stats will probably be underwhelming for you, because he's only doing 5,280 damage every 0.3 seconds with 61.6 range. But it is full AoE damage, so you gotta keep that in mind. Which honestly, on paper, doesn't sound great, but if you look at this, how fast this man attacks, it's fast. Like, he attacks super fast, so he's constantly doing that damage. Like, his animation time is super slow. That damage goes up to 8,880 every 0.3 seconds with 75.6 range. Now, would I say he's the best full AoE mythic in the game? God, no. That spot has been taken by like Morbid Bob and a bunch of other mythics that have been released in the game more recently. But is he still a solid mythic? Debatable. I mean, he still does decent damage, but like, I wouldn't say he's like a really solid mythic. I definitely would say there's some better options. And one of those may be King Crabs. So King Crabs is a splash mythic damage mythic unit, actually doing some really solid damage. He's doing 16,200 damage every 0.4 seconds with 74.3 range. This is Shiny Wumbo level 50, by the way, with Secret Formula. And this max out damage goes up to 27,000 every 0.3 with 90.8 range, which honestly isn't too bad, especially at the time he was released. That's some really solid damage. I wouldn't say he's like the best unit in the game, and he also has a really quick animation time. That's a common theme with a lot of these units. A lot of these units' animation time is actually really good, so, you know, no real complaints there. Overall, I'd say he's a solid mythic. I wouldn't say he's like a best one, but for his rarity, it's not bad. Like, it's not bad by any means at all. And of course, we gotta look at today's star of the show, the Dungeon Master, the shiny Wumbo level 100 Sea Bear Secret Formula Dungeon Master with Power Patty. He's doing 450,000 damage on base every 0.7 seconds with 84.8 range. I don't know if you guys remember this update or anything, but like, man, this unit was busted on release. Like, he was easily the best unit in the game when he released, and he's still pretty solid today. I'd say he's still like a solid B tier unit, but like, I wouldn't say he's like the best unit in the game, and he's also really hard to get to, especially max. Like, getting one of these maxes insanely difficult. So yeah, no, definitely not one I'd say you should go for, but like, still a really solid unit all around, especially at its time when it released back in May. Man, this unit was busted. Now, those max out stats go all the way up to 630,000 damage every 0.6 seconds with 11.3 range. As a Pierce unit, by the way, I forgot to point that out. Which he's doing really solid damage, and like, honestly, he was really good. The only thing that's really holding him back from other units in the game is his attack speed's pretty slow, and his damage is a lot lower than a lot of the other units. I mean, we're getting units now that are doing 3 million damage, so 630,000 isn't really cutting it for the meta. But he's still really solid, I'd say. Like, I wouldn't say he's like a top secret in the game, but he's definitely like middle of the pack for secrets. So honestly, which is not bad considering how bad some of these secrets can get. So honestly, not too bad, not too shabby at all. Alright, so up next we are going to move on to the boss battle test. So I'm going to move on to the boss battle so I can explain how that will work. Alrighty guys, so we are going to be doing the boss battle test. So basically how this is going to work is we're going to test them out on Bubble Bass 1, since a lot of these units won't even get close in Lionfish 5. So I feel like Bubble Bass 1 will not allow me to stare at my computer screen all night while doing these tests. And the way it's going to go is I'm going to show you the order from worst to best, who did the worst and who did the best. So it'll all be in order. You'll see the screenshots of their time and how much damage they did. So I'm going to go one by one, do all these units, and I will show you the times from worst to best. And we'll go from there. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, starting this off with the worst time, we have Sir SpongeBob, who didn't even manage to beat it and did 990k damage. No surprise there, he's full AoE, and his main job is to clear out the smaller enemies and not really do damage to bigger enemies, so no surprise there. Next up we have Dark Knight, which this one actually kind of did surprise me. I expected her to at least be able to beat the boss, but she did not. She did not great in terms of damage. Maybe she is worse than I thought. Yeah, her single target damage isn't great, and yeah, just didn't even manage to beat Bubble Blast 1, so that's kind of insane to me. Next up we have Squidly Tentacles, who actually did manage to beat the boss in 3 minutes and 53 seconds, which is actually really good for a rare unit. He did really solid, although he was level 70 in Shiny, so he is a leg up from a lot of these other units. But honestly, no surprises there. He did really well, he did some really good damage, and yeah, really, really solid unit. Next up, we have Planktonomore, who managed to beat the boss in 3 minutes and 50 seconds, and honestly did better than the Squidly at level 70 with Shiny, so did really good, did some really solid damage. Yeah, not too bad. Up next, we have Sir Patrick, who actually did really, really good, beating the boss in 2 minutes and 48 seconds, which isn't too shabby, honestly, for a legendary. Really, really solid unit. He actually did surprise me with a lot of these tests. He's actually pretty decent. I'd say he'd be a decent choice for Rogue. Up next, we have King Krabs, who managed to beat the boss in 2 minutes and 24 seconds, which isn't too shabby, but for a mythic unit, it's still pretty weak. There's still a lot of better units out there, so he's alright, but not great. Up next, we have Princess Pro, who did have a huge advantage in tests, but she actually did a lot better than I thought she would in most of these tests. And she actually is a really, really good damage dealer in terms of like early game and epic units, so really solid there. Honestly, really solid unit overall. This might be one worth trying to get your hands on, although she is pretty rare. And of course, to no one's surprise, the best one was Dungeon Master. The max Dungeon Master just shred through the boss in 7 seconds. Not even 10 seconds was needed to beat that. Yeah, insanely good. Alright guys, we did the endless test, we did the boss battle test. Now it's time to ask, are these units still really solid? And to that I have to say, yeah, kinda. There are a few units within this update that are still pretty usable, like the epics are still pretty good, the legendaries are pretty decent, the rares pretty decent, a lot of the mythics though, and the secret, the Dungeon Master is no longer really used. I mean, a lot of these units are decent and still usable in a lot of situations, but there's still a lot of units in the game that outclass most of these units. Like with the legendary units, you got Muscle Bob, you got Buff Sandy that outclass them. For the epics, you got Granny and Mama Bass that outclass them. For the mythics, literally pretty much most mythics that came out after that outclass them. Filthy Phil, Morbid Bob, to list a few. And the secrets, like, he's middle of the tier in terms of like secrets, and like just most of them, like Appetizer and the next secret that we're gonna get into in the next episode, literally outclass the Dungeon Master. So they're not bad units by any means. They still do some really solid damage and such, but there's just so many better units in the game. They just suffer from the power creep within the game that just outclasses most of them. So overall, I'd say they're solid units, just very, very outclassed. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Make sure you like and subscribe if you learned something new, and if you enjoyed. Please make sure to check out the live stream Discord server. We hang out there, we do giveaways. It's a great time. I hope to see you guys in the next video, and I hope to see you guys in the Discord server and the live stream. Anyways, this is all I have for you guys today. Lavish out.